Warning. The Outsider's Edge contains strong opinions, unconventional views, and contrarian stances. Listen, if you dare.
Hey, yo!
What's going on, everybody? We'd like to welcome you once again to the Outsider's Edge podcast. It is your boy, Rance, aka Ray Cash, once again with the big homie, the partner in crime, my boy Karl, aka the King Curvin. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, I don't know if they should even call me King Curvin anymore because I don't even get on where that name started. Curvin is fine. People have been calling me Curvin since before I was ever there, but the King part was an addition, so I don't know if that's... you can still call me that, Rance, because you're special, but I haven't decided.
I call you other things.
but I'm good. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So, man, we got a lot. It's a very interesting week. You know, it's week 2 after the shakeup. Then we have it's something going on Friday. I don't know. I heard it's a big show.
Well, it's in the middle of the fucking day, so some of us have shit we got to do. But yeah, it is what it is.
Some of us don't have shit we got to do. So
well, congratulations.
Oh, please don't congratulate me.
But in any other circumstance, your ass would be busy too. So
yeah. But yeah, Greatest Royal Rumble, man. It's this week. So we're gonna talk about that, but before we get there, I kind of want to touch on something real quick.
Okay.
That I thought was interesting.
All right.
So in case a lot of you listening have forgotten, WWE still does happen to be a functioning business.
Yeah.
Traded. Publicly traded at that. Thank you for saying that, because yes, that means it's a very legitimate business.
It also means they have to do certain things for their shareholders. Just FYI, we are not the only people that matter. Just wanted to throw that out there before we get started, in case anybody forgot about that as well.
from your favorite contrarian Mark, yes. But they had their WWE Business Partner Summit. I'm normally Karl, of the two of us, is the guy who's more interested in the business, finer things and stuff like that. Like, that interests him. He's
math and numbers. And stuff.
Yeah, right. He's an accounting major. Like, he does that for fun.
Finance.
That's all the same shit. You do numbers. You deal with numbers and money. But I kind of wanted to point out something the reason I want to point it out is because I feel like all of our shows kind of have an overarching theme, and this theme I feel like is globalization. Like the globalization not only of wrestling but particularly of WWE. Right? Because we have effectively what could be considered a WrestleMania style pay-per-view in the middle of the Arabian desert. So that's not globalization,
if you've seen
dog.
any of the stage designs and things like that, you would assume that this is very much WrestleMania feel to it, for them at least.
By the way, have you heard the rumor that I don't believe this rumor? There is truth into it. I don't believe this rumor, but there's a rumor saying that WWE got paid between $100 and $200 million to do the show. Not necessarily this. I don't know if that's this show or that's the deal they signed, because they signed I think a 10-year deal.
Deal in totality. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, $100 to $200 million.
If that's accurate, that's a huge amount of money.
Well, think about they got John Cena fight Triple H in the undercard.
That's true. Yeah.
So that might even be the opening match, big dog. Like, so you know what I mean. But before we get there, I want to talk about their globalization. So at the Business Partner Summit, Michelle Wilson, who's the chief marketing officer, George Barrios, who is the chief financial officer, basically the business head of the company, not named Vince McMahon. So, and I want to shout out Chris Harrington, who was one of the guys who runs the WrestleNomics podcast. He's the guy who I'm getting some information from on Twitter, but he laid out they laid out three strategic shifts that's going to happen in WWE over the next 12 to 15 months, which directly affects us as consumers, right?
Sure.
So the first one is distribution strategy for Raw and SmackDown, which effectively means the new TV contract.
Yeah, TV deal.
Which I have a theory about that we'll get to in a minute. The second one is direct to consumer, which is, I'm assuming, the WWE Network becoming more expanded and tiered. So,
Okay.
if you want to get just the regular content, you pay a certain amount. You want to get pay-per-views, you pay a certain amount. Stuff like that. Basically, so they can start really monetizing it better. Now, there's been 4 years they've been doing it.
Sure.
And last, which probably is most relevant to what we're talking about, international growth, which is going into the Eastern world, India in particular, China, and the Middle East.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is super interesting to me because, we just, as wrestling fans, as a fandom, as a group, we just like to say, oh, well, I just care about the wrestling. But this stuff affects the wrestling a lot more than we give it credit for.
It does.
So adding to that, Triple H also made an appearance there, seeing as he is legitimately the executive vice president over live events and talent. That's kind of
chief operations officer as well.
That's on television. That's not real. Anyway,
it's real.
Well, I mean, he is Paul Levesque McMahon, so maybe.
There you go.
But he talked about global localization. This is an idea Shane had 10 years ago, which he acknowledges. But I guess he kind of revamped it, which basically means that you know how NXT got the North American Championship and the UK title and they're doing these things like that?
Yeah.
The original goal, not the original goal, the goal now is to expand into all these different regions of the world, in particular Latin America, Europe, the Middle East, India, and I'm not going to just say China, I'm going to say Asia, because Japan is a part of it, and the Korean Peninsula and stuff like that. But
kind of like global territories.
Yes, global. That's exactly what it is, because he wants to build performance centers in these regions and create talent from these regions, which is why Pete Dunne is the UK champion. So I'm sure when they build 2025 or whatever it is, when they build the performance center in London or the performance center in wherever it's going to be, they got their own territory. And it all feeds back to WWE. So effectively, shout out to Caleb, they're building the new global NWA.
Yeah.
Effectively.
I think another thing to kind of consider is for, a lot of people like to come after WWE about their ratings and things like that, and Vince McMahon doesn't know how to run a business anymore, and blah 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 blah, and that whole argument. But this is kind of proof that the WWE continues to be very lucrative, very profitable, because one thing businesses love to do when they make money, if they're smart, is reinvest that money into other projects, i.e. trying to expand globally, build more performance centers, i.e. try and tap into other markets internationally, things like
more
that.
talent. Talent costs money.
Correct. So I think even though, and I can understand if you have a natural, if you have some kind of, I don't know, disappointment with what you might be watching on TV or whatever the case may be, you still have to kind of realize that you might be disappointed, but the money's coming in. So that this isn't it's not a deal where they might not be doing the things you want to see them do, but somebody somewhere is giving them money to put on a show, whether it be through a new TV deal or whether it be through going into Saudi Arabia like they're about to do on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So Vince McMahon continues to be a strategic genius. He continues to find more ways to make money for his company, regardless of what you feel about him. That doesn't mean that he hasn't lost value at certain times in the WWE. Yes, they've lost value at certain times. Yes, and they make it back. That's what happens. That's what businesses do. They go through periods where they make money, they lose money. They make money, they lose money. Very few, I think you'd be hard pressed to find many companies that forever continue to make money upon money upon money.
Yes.
So that's something to consider, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, I think if you are a younger fan, maybe like I wouldn't even say our age, like more like a teenager in your 20s, in the next 10, 20 years, man, like
what could be
your fandom when you're getting into your career, if you're a teenager or a 20-year-old, something right now, like 10, 15 years from now, when you're like at the like you've gone to college, you graduated, you've got a real job, and you've got money, like you're going to be able to like go everywhere to see events. And this isn't like, it seems like that's where they're moving towards. That's not trying to get out of the States, obviously, but like do more than they're doing right now already, which is still quite a bit.
Yeah.
To expand to other places. They're trying to be far reaching. And I think that's great. I think it's great for people who love wrestling. I think it's great for the younger fans. And I hope that it's something they can appreciate because, we didn't really get all that. Like the talent crop now is just so it's expanded all over the globe. Whereas, when we were younger, either we didn't realize it or didn't recognize it due to, social media and things like that. But
absolutely,
that's a pretty big deal. So we should be thankful that there is a company trying to make those improvements and trying to, to reach those markets.
And to piggyback on what you're saying in particular about the NXT global localization point, representation is important, and I feel like that's something that the world has known, but United States in particular has started to realize, whether that's by happenstance or people throwing it in people's faces, but recently, in the past 10 and 15 years or so, representation is important. And I realize that me and you are sitting here as the two majorities of this country, a white man and a black man. So it's easy for us to say that because we're the most notably seen group in this country. Over women, over I'm a minority, but over like other minorities, like, I get that. But, for example, think about this. I have never had the opportunity to see a completely black, while that doesn't matter to me, but in general, WWE champion. Like, the reason I hold people like MVP and Booker T and Mark Henry and Ron Simmons in such esteem is because, and Rock too, I don't want to say The Rock isn't black, he is, but is because they look like me. And they did things that I would want to do. You know what I mean? So like representation is important. So, you're going into these other areas of the world that for the longest we've never given credence to, but you realize that India, the Middle East, and China, and throw Japan in there alone, are probably like 2/3 of the world's population, right?
Absolutely.
Something to that. I realized something to that order. At least over half. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely, yeah.
That's why the Jinder Mahal push, which everybody has their feelings about that, but was such a big deal for WWE because, maybe it didn't do the business they expected for it to do, but still, there is a group of kids growing up in India that saw a guy that looks just like them as the WWE champion. So representation is important. And, we keep saying as fans that, we're looking for the next superstar, right? Like, a big part of the fans have rejected Roman Reigns. So who's next, right? Who's to say some little kid sitting in, I don't know, Abu Dhabi right now, or some little kid sitting in Shanghai right now, or some little girl sitting in Amman, Jordan right now. Like, we don't know, but who's to say that those aren't the next superstars of pro wrestling?
Absolutely, sure.
You don't know, and you can't find these things out unless you give them avenues to do that. Which, before I move on, that was the perfect segue. But I want to give you my theory. I think I told you about it, but I have a theory as to why SmackDown was loaded, per se, in the Superstar Shakeup.
Okay.
And this all relates because we're talking about kind of the globalization, and part of that was the new TV deal, right? Well, and this is just a theory. I had nobody said this. I haven't seen this reported. This is just me thinking. I got too much time on my hands. Uh, SmackDown was loaded with all the favorites, right? The indie faves, and of course Braun. You know, like guys like Braun, Seth, and Finn are still on Raw, but you know Joe and Miz and Bryan's there, and AJ and Shinsuke and Hardy and Almas and Sanity and all these people, right? Usos, New Day, whatever. Think about this. WWE's TV deal a new TV deal will be signed, if not by the end of this year, by the beginning of next. Right? Fox has openly come out and say that they are going to give a very healthy bid. But if WWE does move to Fox, then Raw will move to network television on Mondays, and we'll have to go back to 2 hours because, you know, Fox runs their news at 9 or 10 if you're listening on the East Coast or whatever, an hour before the other news. SmackDown will go to Fox Sports 1. Not FX, Fox Sports 1. I challenge anybody listening to tell me, have you ever watched Fox Sports 1 for anything?
I haven't. I don't have cable.
Sure. I've watched Fox Sports 1, but
I probably wouldn't anyway, so go ahead.
Absolutely. I've watched Fox Sports 1 for various things, but very little. I can't count them off the top of my head.
That's Bayless and Dipshit, or actually, excuse me, Shannon Sharp and Dipshit are on, aren't they?
Yeah, actually, they are on Fox Sports 1, yeah. So that's probably the main thing I've ever watched on their show. And I watch most of their stuff on YouTube. But anyway, so if WWE were to go there, which is effectively over 6 to 8 months away,
right?
SmackDown going to FS1, Fox and WWE know that nobody watches that channel right now as is. SmackDown going to Fox Sports 1 would be to help bring that channel higher ratings.
Sure.
Nobody's going to follow if they don't care what's on SmackDown.
Right. Counter to that theory, though.
Yes.
Now the counter. In reality, you say that, and the people who don't agree with you are going to say, oh, well, they know nobody watches Fox Sports 1, so they're going to keep Daniel Bryan on SmackDown on Fox Sports 1. They're burying him because nobody's going to watch.
So, well, no, there's truth to that, but here's the thing that fans don't like to believe, which is why, truth be told, let's keep it real. We keep it 100 on this show, right?
I guess.
Keep it 100 on the show. The reason Bryan didn't get the sustained push immediately after SummerSlam 2014 or 2013, whatever year it was because nobody bought the damn show.
Yeah.
These are facts. I'm not making this up. I'm not saying this to be a hater. Nobody has bought, and WrestleMania doesn't count because WrestleMania sells itself, right? Regular pay-per-views Daniel Bryan was on that he headlined as the champion or fighting for the champion in the marquee match on that show or one of the two marquee matches on that show, people did not buy. These are facts. Go look. They did not buy. This is a fact. This isn't something that can be disputed. This is a unmitigated fact. So
only facts here.
Only facts here. We have opinions, but they're backed by facts. So, with that being said, you want to prove that Daniel Bryan's the true star of the company? Go watch Fox Sports 1 with him on it. That's proof. Because if they can get 2s and 3s on Fox Sports 1, Vince's gonna notice.
No doubt, yeah.
And this is just what it is. Vince is gonna notice. So that's a challenge. But now they've loaded the show to where fans don't have to say, "Well, damn, I just want to see this one guy. I want to see the whole damn show." So maybe I will give it my watch.
Yeah, in order to watch those guys that you love so much, you're gonna have to go over to Fox Sports 1.
There you go. Yeah. That's what business. That's the. You can talk to this better than I can.
Accessible regardless.
It's gonna be on. It's gonna be on Fox. Yeah, it's gonna be on broadcast TV.
If that deal goes through, yeah, it'll be on Fox. I mean, that's kind of which I kind of assume it will. If they bid enough, I mean, USA Network, which is NBC Universal, will have to shell out a ton of money to keep them, most likely.
The only thing that's gonna hurt Fox is Fox and ESPN are doing a joint bid to keep UFC.
Right.
So that will hurt them because they won't have that huge flush stack of cash, but the joint bid allows for them to still have enough to throw an offer out. That wouldn't be insulting. You know, like I think they're making 350 now, something like that. So
Okay.
if I'm Vince, I'm not accepting anything less than 400.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Well, he knows those numbers that he wants better than we do for sure. So
Absolutely. And while we're talking about this, just want to say in terms of ratings, I realize ratings are down, but you understand that ratings are down, yet they're always number one or number two in the demographic in their time slot. So it's not like ratings are down and nobody's watching the show. No, people aren't watching like they used to, but more people are still watching that show than on any other show that night.
right.
Except for what?
The other shows
Love and
are
Hip Hop
suffering
and Bill
too.
O'Reilly. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, everything is suffering as far as TV. We've discussed this before. Like, you know, as a medium, TV itself is dying.
Yeah.
Just
Cable
watching
TV is
live.
dying.
Yeah, cable. People don't have time. A lot of people DVR shit. People don't have time to just sit around and. They just don't. We're busy people. I mean, if you live, especially if you live in the United States, I mean, people will tell you this is one of the busiest countries, if not the busiest.
Yes.
In the whole world, man. We're busy all the time. We ain't got time to do shit. We got kids. We got whatever other things we want to do. So it's just, you know.
Yeah. And it's not just
people don't sit
busy,
around and watch
Carl.
TV.
It's not just busy. People want options now.
Yeah, sure.
That's what it is. That's a big part of it too. People want options. So like I have AT&T Uverse,
Yeah.
and I'm fairly happy with it. But if, for example, Major League Wrestling, they have a brand new TV show that started this past Friday. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is on the show, and MVP, and Shane Strickland just won the title, beating Matt Riddle. Like they're an up and coming company that start trying to do some stuff, right? If I wanted to watch that show, I'd have to upgrade my subscription to get that channel. Whereas if I cut the cord, I could just look at the channel. Options.
That's true. Yeah.
Options.
Absolutely. I get it.
But yeah, I want to talk a little business because I found that interesting, especially considering we're about to talk about a WrestleMania level pay-per-view in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So I just thought that was an interesting way to kind of
Yeah, and whether or not this was solely a business decision or if anything else had been thought
we're going to
about.
get to that. We're going to get to that.
That's later, and I definitely I want to talk about that. But
we're probably both going to jump on that. But yes.
Yeah.
So man, I guess we kind of got to jump on the show, right?
Yeah, when you talk about the card and throw out some predictions. This is the prediction show is the one show where we are a little bit like everyone else. We got to give some predictions. We got to make sure we're right and wrong. And you know, now that we're starting the outsider's edge between the two of us, we should start keeping track of how we did and compare each other at the end of the year.
Do we have
kick
to?
My ass, dude. It's gonna be so bad, but it'll be fun.
Do we have to?
We don't have to, but we should.
Yeah, we should. Okay, I'll write this down eventually.
It'll make a good talking point for the next show. God, why'd you go like 0-8 on your predictions, Rance? Oh, I didn't. That was you, Carl. My bad.
But see, now you're gonna make me actually have to really think about my predictions.
Well, I want you to think about it. I
always
give
think about
what
my
they want to
predictions.
hear.
Yeah,
right?
I always think about them. I'm just talking now.
So now when we do predictions, in order to continue with our idea of being different, we just frame other things around the predictions, like what we just did with the business. So this is that's our new that's the business model for us.
Oh,
on the prediction show.
Keep with the theme, bro.
I know, right? Okay, so let's jump in, man. You got the card. I know you have the card in hand because you know
I do.
So
there are 7 championship matches.
Yeah.
And 10 matches on the card. And we're going to start with the one match that has no stip, that has no title, and that match is John Cena versus Triple H. This is what we're starting the card with. Yeah, right? You know, yeah, curtain jerker, right? I'm sure they'll make the pre-show sometime. You know what's interesting to me about this?
Wouldn't it?
Right, if they put that on the pre-show, I would die. You know what's interesting to me personally about this match in general is that this will be the first public appearance John Cena has since he and Nikki divorced. Has that hit you yet? Not divorced, but broke up. Had it hit you yet?
Divorced.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that because I couldn't give a flying shit about these
Well,
guys' personal lives. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
but here's why it's relevant. Because every single person close to John, and call me naive, but I believe this, has said that he is personally legitimately wrecked by Nikki leaving him because he never expected it.
See, I thought John left her. That shows you what I know.
Well, no, that was the original. That was the original report. But what the truth that's come out is that John was kind of being a little bit of a dick.
Shocker.
That he was right. He has some of those qualities, but he was starting to kind of second guess. Because remember he was against marriage for all these years, and was kind of making Nikki kind of feel like, I'm doing you a favor by marrying you.
Right.
And Nikki was like, look, I don't need your pity. Either you're in 100% or you're not. And I guess she didn't get the answer she wanted, so she was like, I got to take care of me. And to her credit, I can't think of a woman or a person, I'm not going to say a woman, but a person in a public relationship that has made more concessions for their partner than Nikki has for John Cena.
It's pretty crazy. But
So,
I have a theory as to why John decided to make this his first public appearance.
well, he didn't decide to make this. This was booked like 3 months ago.
Well, I'm just saying, let's in kayfabe.
Okay.
Theory. And
Kayfabe.
It's going to sound really bad. So if you decide to edit this out, I'll completely understand.
It's not going to be edited, bro. You already started.
To me, it's still funny, and I'm going to really piss some people off. But the reason why John has decided to show up to the Greatest Royal Rumble,
shit! I know what you're talking about.
Nikki can't chase his ass down to jail.
Yes.
She can't be there, so she ain't got to worry about any repercussions.
And it's not
have to worry about any repercussions, yeah.
And it's not going to be. It's going to be women there, but not a tremendous amount of women. So he can't be hated.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. No worries.
Oh my god, this is horrible. All right, so there's no stakes. This is just kind of a standalone event, standalone match. Cena vs. Triple H. At one point, this was the main event of WrestleMania 22. They had a good feud. They had chemistry together. What you think? Who do you think is going to win? What do you think is going to happen in the match?
Well, I mean, I figure the match can be pretty standard. I mean, there's nothing. This is one of those, like we were talking about before we started, standalone kind of thing. There's no build.
Yeah.
There's no feud.
Yeah.
It's just Triple H, who is, by all accounts, like a god in the Middle East.
Middle East and all East, yes, 100%.
So I think he's going to win the match. I just would be like, to me, it's. I know this. I'm not trying to compare the two. So before any of you fuckers jump on me, it's a lot to like how Jinder and Triple H had their match, where everyone's like, oh, the whole idea was Jinder's gonna go over, where nobody goes over where they're from, first of all. But
yeah,
like but it's kind of similar to that. Like Triple H is the man in that place for whatever reason. And even though John Cena is a huge draw in the States, I don't know his drawing power across the world. But I would still say Triple H is going to win just based on that fact. I mean, I don't have much to add about the match because I assume it's going to be pretty standard. I would expect it to be a slog, because there's no story here. So
and that standard Triple H affair they're pretty slow.
It's going to be a standard Triple H match where he's going to have to they're going to have to tell. There's no story to tell. I don't know what story to tell here. So we'll just have to see. But I do think Triple H will win. I think this is mostly just the people love Triple H there. Here's Triple H in a match against another high-profile guy. That's my thoughts on it.
Plus, I don't doubt the royal family asked for him to wrestle. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, sure.
Over under 10 finishers total in the match. I'm only counting AA. I'm only counting the AA and the pedigree.
And a pedigree. Okay.
Over. That's too much. That's too much. Over under 5.
Over under 5.
Total.
Can you put a half on it so I can kind of?
Okay. Over under 5.5.
Over under 5.5.
I forgot you're a gambler, so yeah.
Yeah, I'll go under.
I'm going over, bro. This is going to be an epic for all proportions, and not epic like we're gonna remember this as one of the best matches of all time, but epic style in that I'm gonna hit you with a million finishers and I'm gonna kick out a million times.
It could be. Yeah, you might be right about that. I'll just go under for the sake of. I don't know. I feel like I'm just gonna piss a bunch of people off, which I don't care. But
Dog,
I'll
if
say
Cena loses to one pedigree, I'm gonna die, bro. um,
I'll pop. You know me. I'm a Triple H guy, so that's fine.
so everything in me says John Cena's gonna win. Conventional wisdom says John Cena's gonna win.
Yeah.
I also gonna say Triple H, and the only reason I'm saying Triple H is this is horrible, but because I am in both of us actually are in a predictions group with some of our friends, and I already picked Triple H to win. So I'm trying to be consistent.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, you can change it on here if you want to. I'm not going to tell anybody.
No, I'm a man of my word. Plus, I feel like similar to what you said, Triple H is king over there. No pun intended. Um, the royal family, right? Hey, I have one every now and then. But I do feel I feel like plus there's going to be some surprises on this card because Vince is one to always consistently just go back and follow. I study Vince's booking like people like you study finance. He always throws curveballs on big shows. So yeah.
Yeah, well, it could be. We'll see.
So we're gonna move on to the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match, and every interest I had in this match died when the Lucha Mosquito Kalisto won the Gauntlet match. First and foremost, I need to vent for a second.
Oh wait, hold on. Before you say that,
Yes.
because I think you just informed me, I did not know what the match was going to be. Is it Cedric Alexander versus Kalisto? Is that
Yes.
the match? Okay,
So,
thank you. I did not know. I think I know all the other matches on the card. Yeah.
well, this match wasn't set until last night.
Oh, so there you go. I don't watch 205 Live very
Right.
much. So.
But the problem was Buddy Murphy got the shot, but he didn't make weight.
Right.
So
I
they did.
That. I think I
right.
was hearing something about that.
So they did a gauntlet with Mustafa Ali, TJP, Drew Gulak, Kalisto, and
Tony Nese.
Oh, Tony Nese, yes. And Kalisto won, which is the last person that should have won. But more power to him.
Lucha,
Don't do that.
Lucha.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please. No.
You love Lucha. You love it.
Yeah, I'm the biggest Lucha fan in the world. But why the only thing, okay. Why you wouldn't rerun Ali Alexander is perplexing to me. And the only thing I could think is maybe there might be an issue with Ali being Pakistani in the Saudi country. That's the only thing I could think. I don't know this for a fact, but there's no reason why you wouldn't rerun that. Then Gulak is the best character in the entire brand. Why would you run that? I don't get why, of everybody available, you pick Kalisto.
Well, especially, and I was gonna say, well, they got Rey Mysterio for the Rumble later in the day, and then in the show.
Bro, Rey ain't gonna have nothing to do with the Cruiserweight division, bro. I guarantee you. He's too over.
By that was like I was gonna say, well, maybe they just wanted some a
Lucha contingent,
guy in a mask or whatever.
Yeah.
Thing. But they got Rey in the Rumble, so maybe that I don't know. He's Kalisto.
And Almas will be there, so.
Yeah, For some reason, they just love them some Kalisto, man. I don't know. You don't like him. He blocked me on Twitter, so I don't know.
I feel like, is it wrong to say I'm jealous that you got blocked?
Well, see, I'm a little bit more. I believe I tweeted something about. Remember when Braun Strowman threw him in the dumpster?
Oh, yeah, you said he's trash, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I believe I was like, this is where he belongs. I said something I shouldn't have said, and then, not that I shouldn't have said it, but.
Sure.
I think he vanity searched me, man, because I don't tag Kalisto in shit. I want to tag Kalisto.
Some people do that. Cody Rhodes is very notorious for vanity searching, but okay.
That's true.
So I'm pretty sure we're both sure that Cedric's going to retain here, right?
Yeah, I don't see any shock here. Why I don't. I figure the match will be fine. Cedric wins.
Cedric's going to win.
Sorry we don't have much to add, people. Like some of these matches are just so. All right, here they are.
Well, this is the only one to me that's just all right because it doesn't make any sense. But I'm not the book. I don't have the book. So Cedric's gonna win, and Kalisto will do some flippy shit, and we'll move on with our day. So I'm kind of interested. I was always interested in this match because I love both of these teams, but especially with the new layer they've added, the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championship between Luke and Eric Bludgeon, as I'm calling them now, since they're the Bludgeon Brothers, right? Luke and Eric Bludgeon,
Yeah.
versus the Usos. And so the whole story of their feud has been, the Usos are the best in the business, but the Bludgeons are just they're bludgeoning their way, pardon the pun, through the division, and nobody can touch them.
Terrible.
Hey, you shoot it, and sometimes it makes it, sometimes you miss, right? But yeah. But the added wrinkle with Naomi being scared for her husband's life, effectively,
Right.
and Luke kind of like messing with her on Twitter and stuff,
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's added a different dimension to this now, because now the one thing, and I mentioned it with Jordan this morning on the morning show. Think about this: Naomi can't be at the show on Friday, right?
Right. I was gonna say, like, she can't be there. She can't do much for him this time.
And if you watch SmackDown, last week she stopped them from a beatdown.
Yeah.
This week she interrupted the match and caused them to lose a match.
Yeah.
The Bludgeons are gonna be out here for blood, dog. They about to try to kill these boys.
Yeah, I see you trying to sneak in another blood. The Bludgeons are gonna be out here for blood.
Okay, see, that wasn't on purpose, but
Okay.
since you said it, it's pretty good, right?
That's terrible. All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're right. I mean, and once again, this is another one. Like, Bludgeons just won the titles. Doesn't mean the Usos couldn't win them, but given everything that we've seen, where essentially the Bludgeon Brothers have done nothing but just show dominance over everyone, and now Naomi's not there, going to be there to
save the day.
Yeah, to kind of hold them back or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I mean, I see this going the same way. Kind of feel like the Bludgeons the Usos might die in Jeddah. I don't know.
Well,
I hope not. I like them. They might die.
Like Joe said about Roman Reigns, they're going to get buried in the Arabian sands, in the sands of the Arabian desert.
Yeah.
That was such a great line, dog.
Paul Heyman said that Roman was coming back in separate boxes, like
yes.
Poor emo Roman, right? But anyways,
yes, it's very, very morbid about Roman Reigns right now.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bludgeon Brothers to win. I feel like the Bludgeon Brothers most likely are probably going to be on a collision course here pretty soon with the Bar, assuming the Bar don't win the titles.
Well, that's next. So yeah,
we'll talk about that. So yeah,
I am going to. Of course, the Bludgeons are going to win, but I feel like this match is ripe for a run-in, and I'm going to predict, even though I don't necessarily believe it, I'm going to predict Sanity runs in this match after the match is over and makes their first appearance on television.
Okay.
That way there's a talking point going into SmackDown. Naomi could care for her husband because he was murdered, and and Sanity can make their debut with some actual heat, right?
Would that give them heat though?
That'll give them heat with the Bludgeons.
Yeah, okay.
And the worst thing you can do to a new debuting act, or group can be an act, is to not have something for them to do immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. You don't want them to be aimless. The only person that can be aimless is No Way Jose, because that's the point of his point is to be aimless.
Yeah.
But even he got something to do. Yeah, but he got something to do, right? So Sanity can't just debut and then fight, and then just fight random jobbers. Like, they gotta have something to do.
Absolutely.
Their whole point is about chaos and anarchy, so they gotta have something.
I would like to see that. I think it'd be a good way to debut them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And
plus, it's a 3-man team.
Yes.
The Bludgeons have been just destroying all their 2-man competition.
Well, New Day's 3-man team, but yeah.
But that kind of adds another layer there.
If you take the eye test, Sanity standing across the ring from the Bludgeons. They look like they can stand with them. Plus, they're crazy enough to deal with what the Bludgeons will do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Moving on to the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships, and this has been also added a nice wrinkle. The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, versus the Deleters of Worlds, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I don't know if you got a chance to watch SmackDown yet, but the Bar mentioned.
I have.
Okay, so the Bar mentioned that if they do win the Raw Tag Team Championships in Jeddah, they go back to Raw because the holders are property of Raw.
Okay. Which, yeah,
so,
we had that was one thing we had talked about before.
Yes.
Is that it felt like it would be predictable that you move them to SmackDown, so obviously Bray and Matt were going to win. But we
not so obvious no more.
Maybe getting 2 matches out of this.
2 matches.
Way, well, I mean, we could if the Bar were to win the titles in Jeddah. You know, you may have them. They may do a rematch at Backlash or something like that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about 2 matches that night. I was like,
no,
okay.
And then send the Bar back to SmackDown. So there's a lot of different ways you can go here, which is good because that was one thing that I had taken issue with was like, and they do this a lot at WrestleMania where they do a lot of rematches. This isn't a rematch, but they do a lot of like matches that you kind of feel like you know what's going to happen at the next pay-per-view, and I feel like there is a reason behind that. I'm sure, but so this adds a good wrinkle, and I like that. And I hadn't thought about that, so I'm glad to see they did it. And it really makes my prediction tougher.
Good.
Because, you know, I feel like there's got to be a couple of title changes here. I'd be surprised if the whole show turned out to be everyone retaining. So, that said, I'm going to take the Bar to win.
I hate you, man.
I feel like, now that doesn't mean they're going to keep them for very long.
No, that's my prediction too.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to win them. And so we're going to have to wait a little longer on seeing the Bar versus the Bludgeon Brothers and the Bar versus the Usos and the New Day, even though we've seen some of those. But, you know, we're going to have to wait to see those again because that's good shit. Plus, not to mention, we talked earlier about SmackDown's tag team division is fire right now.
Yes.
So if they want to say, we'll keep the Bar on Raw, maybe you make a call an audible there. But I do think ultimately we're getting to Matt Hardy and Bray getting those titles at some point. But yeah, I think adding that in is a good element there for the Bar. I think they'll win the titles.
I say the Bar's winning the titles too, but I will say, and the reason, of course, is the Raw Tag Team division is pretty not. I'm not gonna say it's not good. It's not established. Because clearly, Drew and Dolph are gonna be great together. Matt and Bray have been good together. Like there's. Like, you know, the Miztourage is trying to do something. Like, they have some groups there that can do some stuff, but they need an anchor team. What I would like to see happen is whether they win or whether they lose, or, well, if they lose and go to SmackDown, I guess what I'm trying to say is what I'd like to see is eventually I'd like to see this cause them to split.
Okay.
Because I don't want to say they've ran their course, but the time I feel is right for Cesaro and Sheamus pushes again as singles guys. But, you know.
Cesaro for sure. I don't know how. Because I love Sheamus, you know that, but I don't know. I don't know because the split will be with Cesaro. I don't know how well the fans are going to gravitate back towards another Sheamus singles push. You know, Cesaro is someone you could definitely see with how much he's loved. But Sheamus, he was dead on arrival on a few of those pushes back when in the League of Nations and some of that other stuff. So it's kind of so it's a tricky one. It's tricky. And Cesaro's so good in tag teams. It's like sometimes you just have your guy that's what they do.
Well,
you know?
that's what's held Dolph back all these years. Is Dolph is so great at selling and losing.
Yeah,
he does it tremendously. So while you want to push that guy and give him something different to do, why would you when he does that so well?
I know it.
You know, so it's a really hard thing to, and it's kind of even to a smaller extent, Daniel Bryan has the same quality.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, we both got the Bar, so there goes another one. So let's move on to, it's a little interesting that they're going to have a WWE United States Championship match in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but, you know, it's what it is.
It's all good. It's all good.
the United States champion Jeff Hardy facing Carl's favorite wrestler, Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
The modern day. Clive called him in their podcast today. Clive called him the modern day mammary gland. What was it? It was something really, really like messed
Well,
up.
it sounds like Clive can kiss my ass. So.
Oh man, hold
I'm tired of this.
Bro, I was dying. The modern day mammary gland enhancer.
I like it.
It's pretty good.
Pisses me off.
It's messed up, but it's pretty. Look, A+ for creativity. The interesting thing here is the looming threat of whoever wins has to wrestle Randy Orton at Backlash. And I feel like that's super interesting, even though Randy Orton isn't particularly interesting, because I don't want to say this match doesn't matter, but there's a question of, are they really going to rerun Jinder versus Randy? Which is something Vince would love to troll the fans with and do again. Or are we going to run Jeff versus Randy again? Which is probably one of Jeff's defining feuds in his career.
Yeah, it is.
So,
Okay, I have a couple thoughts on this.
Okay.
First of all, I know everyone loves Jeff Hardy. Okay?
Yes.
I understand that, so I'm not going to sit here and bag on the fact that he's getting a singles push in 2018. As much as I feel like it's a waste of time, I just don't like. I'm not going to get hardcore on that, okay? Because it is what it is, and people love Jeff, and I understand that side of it. However, I feel like, remember, this is personal opinion. I like how sometimes that with the two mid card titles, with the main mid cards between the IC and the US, I like how they flip them sometimes from show to show during the shakeups. So I personally, and this is just me being kind of old school and liking that old school heel heat kind of thing, I personally think that Jinder Mahal should win the match, have the U.S. title on the A's show, which is Raw, whether you like it or not, and I think that would be good for him. Jeff is Jeff. Whether Jeff holds, especially the U.S. title, he became a Grand Slam champion, right, by winning the U.S. title.
He became an official Grand Slam champion, even though he's won every other title ever created in the history of that company.
Right.
Before that, but yes.
So this was kind of, okay, he's Grand Slam champ, won the U.S. title. But Jeff's one of those guys. Like, just because him having a championship doesn't really matter. I mean, he's Jeff Hardy. Although, I'll say this, I'm not really interested in seeing Jinder and Randy wrestle again at Backlash. I'll be more interested in seeing Randy and Hardy. So it's kind of back and forth on what I want to see, mostly because Randy is the most disinterested human being in the world.
Absolutely.
I know that Jeff Hardy will work hard, even though he's stiff as a board these days. And I know that Jinder Mahal will work hard, as it's been shown by the immense improvement. Whether you want to call me a Jinder truther or not, yes, I'm talking to you, Wrestling Wash.
Hi, Caleb.
Yeah, hi, Caleb. So I feel like my prediction on this match is Jeff Hardy. But I would like to. I think the right call is for Jinder to win, to carry the U.S. title on Raw, and do that whole deal. But hey, he can't win matches right now, so I don't know.
Well, I was going to get to that. They are clearly running something with Jinder, in that his character is being kind of brought back to
reality?
kind of being humbled again. Back to reality, yes, is a good way to put that. Which of course is going to lead to something different for him, sure. But he was embarrassed by No Way Jose. He lost the title on his first night. Chad Gable beat him with the Bret Hart roll up. So something's going on with him. So I don't see him winning this match.
Yeah.
But one thing you said I disagree with. You said that there's not a lot of interest per se from you with Jeff Hardy being a champ.
Yeah.
I think you're missing the major point of Jeff Hardy being champion. We haven't seen Jeff Hardy be a singles champion in over 7-8 years.
Yeah, I
get
that.
So there's an interest of seeing this guy who regardless if you hate him or love him, however you feel about him, you cannot deny that there is a level of excitement that is in the air whenever he's out in the ring or coming out in the arena.
Sure. Yeah.
And of course, I don't want him to be the modern day, no disrespect, but the modern day Rob Van Dam, which in doing the same things he's done his whole career with no change. There's no disrespect to Rob Van Dam, but 25 years of the same thing, like, it gets old a little bit.
Sure.
But moving into, and I feel like the Jeff feud with Randy Orton is going to lead to Randy turning heel, which is where he shines.
Okay.
So I got Jeff too for a number of reasons, but most particularly concerning the match. Jeff versus Randy, I think, is a bigger match right now than Jinder versus Randy.
I would agree with that. And it's not. Once again, it's no disrespect to Jeff. I will not say that I am like a huge Jeff Hardy fan per se. I love the Hardy Boys. I never was crazy about Jeff or Matt by themselves that much, and that's that's just me. That's just my personal feelings.
Sure.
But I think it's interesting because it brings me to a point here that I want to make, and I like doing this because it gives me an opportunity to out people on their bullshit sometimes.
Please do. This is the platform for that.
How old is Jeff Hardy?
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, how old is Jeff?
You want me to tell you exactly?
Yeah, give me an exact age. I'm guessing around 40, 38, 39, 40 years old. That would be my guess.
Make your point, and I'll tell you as I'm pulling it up.
So while he's looking that up, there's this. We're always bitching about making new stars and new guys winning championships and making big moves and getting pushes, and yet here we are.
He's 40.
He's how old?
40.
He's 40 years old.
He'll be 41 this year.
40-year-old man who is, I wouldn't call him a nostalgia act, but his best years are past him.
Sure.
And we're all about this. Oh, it's the enigmatic Jeff Hardy, the Swanton Bomb, and the stupid facial hair. Like,
the stupid
really?
facial hair.
It's stupid, okay? But like,
it's interesting. It's enigmatic.
Right. So, listen. Just as you've said many times before on this show, former SMC, whatever.
Every podcast I've ever been on. Yes.
Be consistent. If you don't want to see old guys taking away spots from young guys, I don't want to hear you being all like, oh, yeah, Jeff Hardy, woohoo. Like, in reality, in theory, you should be rooting for Jinder Mahal, who's like 30 years old, 31 years old, a very young man.
Yes, compared to
winning
him, yes.
But you don't because you think he's trash, so you'd rather see Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton have another match at Backlash, and their combined age of 70-something years old. So
no, 80, because Randy, I think, is 39 now. Yeah.
Good God. Like, just saying. The mid-card used to be where we built the young guys, right? That used to be what we did. We want the younger guys winning the mid-card titles as they work their ways up. And now, nope. So I just wanted to make that point real quick while we were talking about the match.
Want to add to that, the other person involved in this feud who had a match with both of these guys in the past 2 weeks? Shelton Benjamin. Yeah, exactly. Good point. Very good point. Everything you say is absolutely right, but I will say that there is a level of interest about Jeff being champ. Hopefully not long, because it's been so long. This definitely isn't something I expect to see going in past SummerSlam, heading into Survivor Series.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a long-term thing either. And I'm just, I'm kind of just poking the bear a little bit when I say things like that.
You're dead ass right. Be consistent.
I am.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I'm very curious to know where you stand with this next match. Probably what might be the show stealer of the match. Show stealer of the card, rather. The WWE Intercontinental Championship ladder match with 4 of the best in the business. Seth Rollins, the champion, The Miz, Finn Balor, and to throw the wrench in all the plans, Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
What you thinking?
Well, what I think is I feel like if Jeff Hardy's keeping the title on SmackDown, I feel like someone from the Raw side is going to win.
So that eliminates Joe and Miz.
What's that?
That eliminates Joe and Miz effectively. Continue, because I have a theory.
But if you want my honest opinion, I feel like the Miz should win the title back. That's my
No.
personal opinion.
No.
Not for any other reason other than just because I don't think Joe should win the title. So
Okay.
I really, the reason why I say that is because he's about to have a little whatever with Roman before he stays on SmackDown for a while. And Joe, to me, is going to be, he's already proven himself to be main event caliber, world championship, universal championship talent on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he feuded with Brock Lesnar this time last year, basically, for the Universal title.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see any reason to have Joe as Intercontinental Champion when he could honestly immediately be inserted into the world title feud.
Sure.
Immediately. As soon as the Shinsuke AJ stuff is over, even if it's not over, Samoa Joe could be inserted in that immediately.
Absolutely.
So to me, if it's not going to be Miz and it's not going to be Joe, it comes down to Seth and Finn. And once again, on a show where I'm thinking I don't know what's going to happen with any championship, the safe bet is to just, for me, is to continue to say Seth Rollins is going to retain a retain show so far, except for the tag titles on Raw, which are up for grabs, so someone has to win those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to pick Seth Rollins. I think the match is going to be great. If anything, all four of these guys are capable of, just like you said earlier, stealing the show here, and it
Yes.
probably will be the best match. Definitely has the feelings of being the show stealer. So yeah, man, I just think that just continue the course. If Jeff Hardy wins, I think Seth Rollins retains. If Jeff Hardy were to lose, I might pick Samoa Joe to win the title. I don't know.
Sure.
But it depends on the order of the matches too, right? I just feel like they're not going to have two mid-card titles on the same show. So, and I could be wrong about that. They might throw a curveball, and I'd love to see something like that. But I do think Seth will retain. It kind of sounds weird because I haven't said a word about Finn Balor, but his direction's weird right now. I don't know where they're going with him. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the guy that I feel is probably going to be the anchor for a little while. But unless Roman wins the Universal title, which could happen, I feel like Seth with the IC title and it being the main title on the show, if Brock is still champ, I feel like Seth would be a good anchor for them. So I will take Seth.
Okay. So, first, the reason The Miz should not win this championship and should not go anywhere near the IC title for at least the next 2 years is because The Miz deserves more than any human being walking that company to be in the main event championship picture.
Well, I agree with that.
Yes, so I feel that him being moved to SmackDown without the title is a way for him to, I hate to use this word concerning him because what he's done the past year and a half or 2 years, but reestablish himself as a threat in the main event. I say that and I use this as my example for that reason. We all thought, me and you in particular, that Cass was going to be, Big Cass was going to be kind of introduced as the new muscle for Miz. He's not. They got nothing to do with each other. Miz is standing on his own 2 feet. So, I really don't want Miz anywhere near the IC title or the US title for that matter. He needs to focus on some standalone feuds and build himself back. Not build himself back, but walk himself back to the world title picture. I'm not picking this man to win. But don't sleep on Samoa Joe winning. I'm going to tell you why. If Joe wins, I can see some way that Joe gets moved back to Raw to continue to feud with Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've read some backstage rumors that Joe was moved to SmackDown to be away from Roman. I'm sure that I can convince myself that there's truth in that, but
yeah, but what's the point of that if they why set up anything as far as a match goes, like for Backlash and even have him come out there and drag Roman on the microphone if you're just gonna turn around and move him away because you don't want him to be there?
Because I can answer that because the allure of Backlash being so close to the superstar shakeup is that you don't know what's going to happen at Backlash.
Right.
Right. So every feud that could have been going on might be over it finishes at Backlash because that person might not be on the same show as you. So that just leads to that anything could happen in the shakeup vibe. Because think about it. Who was the most shocking person to move in the shakeup in both shows? Joe.
Oh, Joe. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. But yes, I'm with you. I feel like it's either Seth or Finn.
Right.
I am going to go with Finn for two reasons. Number one, like you've mentioned numerous times in this entire build-up, everybody's retaining. Title got to change. But think about this. Seth and Finn have been mighty friendly over the past few months.
Yeah.
Even when they fought each other, they've been mighty friendly. They've been tagging with each other. They've been hanging out, taking pictures together. I'm not saying Rollins is going to turn heel or not, because Rollins has definitely he's rebuilt himself, no pun intended, rebuild, redesign, reclaim, as one of the legitimate top faces in the company again.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree.
That cheer, that burn it down chant is one of the loudest things on the card. But imagine how the dichotomy and the dynamic changes if Finn wins the title and Seth now isn't king of the hill anymore.
Right.
I think there's a different dynamic that could happen, because very clearly that's the feud for the title for the next few months.
Yeah, and I get your point, because I feel like you could probably, especially with Finn, what I was discussing, where his direction has felt kind of odd lately. I wouldn't say no direction, just odd. Because since he came back from the injury, everything changed, and so Finn had to be he was kind of like the puzzle piece that you can't find a spot for. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like, where the fuck does this piece go? And Finn, with the talent he is, as much as I give him shit here, and I like to troll people who love Finn, but I recognize once again who Finn is and how important he is to the roster. Yeah, I could see that, because it would be a good direction. Seth is Seth. Like, he's got direction. There's all kinds of ways you can go with Seth. He's got built-in stories with a returning Dean Ambrose down the road. He's got built-in stories with returning Jason Jordan. He's still got beef with Roman and all that. So
yeah,
there's definitely, it would be a good way to kind of get Finn in place. With that Intercontinental title right now, get him in place. You have a good long feud with Seth, and you can kind of start moving towards other feuds for Finn. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I think it's a good prediction. So I don't have any issue with that. And you almost have me convinced to change my mind.
Nope.
But I will stick where I'm at, because that's how I am. I stick to my predictions.
And I need to be better than you.
But I think you made a great argument for Finn winning the title, because I feel like it would be good for him. I think it's a good spot for him right now to be an IC champ. So okay.
And it's I guess what is it? I can't think of the saying, but I feel like doing the same thing over and over again is going to get a little boring between Finn and Seth. So Finn winning the title kind of puts more fire, again, no pun intended. I'm killing with the puns today. In Seth's eyes to get the title back, and those two are going to have a great feud. So yeah,
he'll have to go through the fire to get through the demon, those kind of things. Ha 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 ha.
Now see, that's bad.
Yeah, I know it's bad. That's why I said it. This is the show of bad puns. We should title it that, and we post it.
I don't appreciate that, sir.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, man. So far, it seems like we're agreeing on every match except for
IC title.
IC title.
Yeah.
So I know we're about to start disagreeing now.
Okay.
Well, not in this match, but the big matches, sure. So we gotta talk about the casket match. We don't have a choice. It's on the card.
Yeah.
The Undertaker versus, I can't roll my tongue, but if I would, this is where the R would be. Rusev. My man, perfect. Before you say something, can I say this?
Go ahead, man.
How hilarious would it be if Rusev wins?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I want it to happen.
Something in me feels like it's not gonna happen. No. But something in me feels like this is the perfect opportunity for like a debuting wrestler to just pop up. Maybe like the Saudi Arabian Giant Gonzalez or something. to just pop up out of nowhere and bury the Undertaker. It's not gonna happen. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. This match is, I'll tell you what though, because I feel like when you go back to WrestleMania 34 and the way they went about doing the Undertaker John Cena match, the match itself,
Yes.
it was a quick squash.
2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Attributed to John Cena being hammered. He,
he was drunk, so they cut the match
he has
early.
An excuse. It's a built-in excuse.
You're really trying to make Scumbag Cena a real thing here.
What's that?
You're really trying to make Scumbag Cena a real thing.
Yeah, he's no, because he was just drinking with his buddies in the crowd. That's okay.
Well, but then you also said that he wants this match in Jeddah so that Nikki can't follow him. Like you're making him out to be a scumbag.
All right. But so I'm wondering about this match a little bit because I'm just interested in how they'll go about it.
Okay.
It was the reason they did Undertaker squashing John because to keep from exposing the Undertaker, which I believe it probably was.
Yeah.
Undertaker being his age now and where he's at, he's an attraction. He's not someone that's going to get in there and give you 10, 15 minutes anymore. 10, 15 good minutes. Well, he'll give you 10 minutes walking to the ring, but he'll give you, 2 minutes wrestling. So my thought process here is assuming Undertaker's going to win, which I believe, I don't think they have this match without him winning. I don't know what his record is in casket matches, by the way. That would think be a good stat, and I wish you had done your research, but it's fine.
You didn't ask me to. I would have done it had you asked. God.
I just thought about it now.
Put me on the spot.
I'm messing with you. But I think the bigger story here is Rusev getting one over on everybody. Because everyone thought he was out the door. What does this mean for Rusev? Oh, he'll do great in New Japan. Send him to Ring of Honor. He'll be a champ immediately.
Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, casket match. So, I feel like, I think Undertaker's going to win. Like I said before, remember I had my Spit Your Fire rant on the first show.
About this.
Talked about this. And then it got fucked over. They nullified it by putting Jericho in there. And then the very next week, they nullified the nullification by putting him back in it. So real quick, I just want to reiterate, if you missed the first episode, it is an honor to be in this match with one of the greatest, if not the greatest, WWE superstar of all time. And regardless of the outcome, you guys should all be happy for Rusev for being allowed to be in this position because it shows that they think highly of him, win or lose. Because I'm of the belief that wins and losses don't really matter. So if you are of that mindset, then to me, this is a good deal. I think Undertaker's going to win fairly quickly, though. I feel like there's no way they're going to give him some extended match. So go ahead.
Undertaker's 11-4 in casket matches. Don't doubt me again, bitch.
Hey, well, you didn't know off the top of your head.
That's
pretty quick. That's pretty quick research, though. I'll give you credit. That was
Thank
fast.
you. I mean, I'm with it with the stats, bro. Yeah, everything you said is absolutely right. It still would be hilarious if Rusev wins this match.
I'm down.
I will say this though. I want to back to what you said. You realize that one of the most advertised matches on this card is Taker versus Rusev. So even if Rusev curtain jerked for the next year, he would have been one of the marquee guys on this card. They clearly think something about this dude. They care about the guy.
Of course they do. And he's continued to be in the main event matches on SmackDown, whatever you think about that. I mean, so has Aiden English, but, you can say that if you want to, but he's been there in the middle of the main event feud, AJ and Nakamura. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, Taker's winning. It's just, there's no way. Taker's winning.
Kind of like John Cena.
I mean, I think it'll get to 8 minutes maybe.
I don't think it'll be as quick as the Cena Taker.
Yeah, it won't be a squash. It'll get to 8 minutes, and I think personally, this is my opinion. I think Taker asked for Rusev.
Really?
I do, because I read an interview with Baron Corbin, and Corbin was like, and Corbin and Taker have a relationship. Taker sees a lot of himself in Corbin because they're both bigger dudes. They move a lot. They both box. Corbin is a legitimate Golden Gloves winner.
Right.
They both like MMA. They both have darker aspects of their personality. Corbin likes the undead and that type of stuff.
Yeah,
and they're bikers. So they got a lot in common. And Taker has helped him a lot. Taker helped him with his character and his injuries and stuff like that. And Corbin was like, I hate that he didn't ask me. I would have loved to have done it. They didn't pick me. I would have loved to have been the guy to fight him in the casket match.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that Taker chose Rusev.
Okay.
Plus, think about this. John Cena versus Triple H was the first match we talked about on the 10-match card, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's coming back for this 50-man Royal Rumble. Jericho and Mark Henry's coming out of retirement for one night, and Shane is fighting in the match, and everybody. Rey Mysterio's back and all this, right? Kurt Angle, right? Why Rusev? I feel that Taker said, that kid has something. I want to give him the platform. Give me Rusev, or Miroslav, his real name. And if that's the case, then there's no bigger endorsement in the entire company than Taker saying you're the guy.
Sure, that's a good point. With so many opportunities, well, not so many options rather, of guys you could have chosen for this match. Yeah, why Rusev, right?
Rusev. Yeah.
I mean, but it still makes me. It does. I still wonder about that week there where it was going to be Jericho. We don't know like what really happened, and I do wonder what happened. You know what I mean?
From what I've read, it was a marketing thing. I don't know if I believe that, but Jericho himself has admitted that he never fully had the match. They texted him like one day, then like the next day they said, no, never mind.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
kind of a weird thing.
Sure. Now, if we're being honest and completely real about this, the match should be Taker versus Jericho because that's a marquee match.
Sure.
No disrespect to Rusev, but
No.
Chris Jericho, 6-time world champ, Hall of Famer instantly.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But once again, I have no beef because it's cool to see. This is a match we've never seen, so it's cool. It's something like for us. In a lot of ways, I feel like this is going to sound crazy because so many people don't want Undertaker around, but in a lot of ways, I feel like this is kind of a match for us because Rusev is so popular. Everyone loves him, and they want to see him get something special. That this is that special thing. That this is kind of for us. Like in a lot of ways, I feel that way. You know what I mean?
Sure. And so many people complain that, like you said earlier about Jeff Hardy, that the newer, younger guys aren't being put in prominent positions. There's not much more of a prominent position than you could be. And to correct you, we're not tired of seeing the Undertaker. Don't want to see him. We're tired of him being Brett Favre. If you're retired, be retired. If you're not, then say you're not. But don't play the game.
Right.
That's all it is for me.
That's fair.
That's all it is for me. Like, if you're going to be here for the next 5 years, I'm cool with it. If you say, I'm going to be here the next 5 years, and don't tease every single match, taking your gloves off and kissing your wife and taking off all your... No, don't do that. Just go to the back.
Right.
And I'd be fine with it. So, I think we should do the greatest Royal Rumble last, because that's kind of the name of the show. So I would imagine it would be, I would imagine that would be the last match on the card. 50 men, that's a lot of people. So we got title matches to talk about. World title matches. Let's start with the WWE Championship match with AJ Styles as the champion versus Nakamura.
He's hitting the Pinshasha.
The Pinshasha, EC3. Boy, that's perfect.
I popped so hard when I saw that earlier.
Can I gloat for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So remember I don't want to call it the outrage, but remember all the discontent about Bobby Roode coming in as a face after being a top heel in NXT?
Yeah.
And if you remember what I said, well, you can't come in and be a real dastardly heel or effective heel when everybody sings your music. Right?
True.
Proof. Shinsuke Nakamura changed his music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right about that.
So I be knowing what I be talking about sometimes, and I had to use the Ebonics colloquialisms, and by saying I be knowing what I be knowing.
Well, when you're around, I don't talk shit about you, but when you leave,
I be talking again. Very, very good. Very good. But anyway, so Shinsuke's been excellent these past 2 weeks, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Boy, he's just on another level. Like for those New Japan fiends, Josh in particular, and I'm only bringing up Josh. Josh, you know my boy, all love. Josh is very upset with how the match went in New Orleans,
Right.
and a lot of people have been very, very critical of WWE. I've been critical of Shinsuke personally, but that the Shinsuke we see in WWE isn't the Shinsuke that they know from New Japan. This motherfucker been doing some New Japan shit, Shinsuke shit.
Well, it's
Like he
almost
been
as
out there.
if they're different promotions. But go ahead.
So see, but that would make too much sense.
I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Oh, I apologize. But anyway, I bring that up to say this. We always know that Shinsuke has a rock star kind of capability, of kind of air of his personality, right?
Yeah.
Well, with the new music and with his newfound love of low blows and his he Shinsuke always was a character who never really gave a shit. But there's like not giving a shit and really not giving a fuck.
Right.
Shinsuke's reached that really not giving a fuck area. So I mean, whenever you walk, whenever you do, whenever you do just a week before a 37-minute documentary speaking perfect English, and all you said on camera since then is no speak of the English. I heard a rumor that he actually asked Vince to make a no speak of English T-shirt. I'd buy that so fast. I would buy that so fast, and I would be willing to take the racist rhetoric because I wear it. I'd be willing to because it'd be so perfect.
See, for me, that might not work out so well.
You're in Fort Smith. You're among your people. You're fine.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I got it. No big deal. I got a truck, so I'm good. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, I'm on my pickup truck. So, talk about the match. What you think?
Oh man, so this has been, like you said, like Nakamura has just been outstanding
Yeah.
the last few weeks. Everything he's done has been great.
The highlight of the company, I would argue.
What's that?
The highlight of the company post WrestleMania, I would argue.
Yeah, and it's crazy, considering where he was and how we had kind of been critical, you especially, and not
Yes.
that I haven't been.
And I'm only critical, I would like to mention, because I've seen him in New Japan.
Right.
So I know what he's capable of. You haven't. I have.
So he's, knowing what we know about how it started when he first came into WWE and all that, it really just kind of goes to show that sometimes certain guys need certain directions. And, Shinsuke, for whatever reason, he kind of, I'm not saying he coasted, but I'm kind of saying it.
No, he coasted.
Like, he coasted off of that wave of love he got from New Japan coming over to NXT, which is, a show that has its own, like, almost.
It's a glorified indie. It's a glorified indie. It's a fully funded corporate indie.
So he was able to kind of coast off of that wave for a while, and then it just felt like it just kind of died a little bit. And you could attribute that to feuds with Jinder Mahal, feuds with Baron Corbin, even feuds with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, like you can attribute it to that because there were moments when he had good matches. He had a good match with John Cena on a SmackDown. He's had some moments.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a totally new and unique and great thing for him. And like I said before, the thing I love about it, and I put this out, is that, a lot of people are like, why does he keep low blowing AJ Styles? Like, why the low blow every single time? And I keep saying, well, obviously, it's because AJ keeps spawning little Republicans, and he's tired of it.
Oh, shut up.
So
I was not expecting that.
Anyways, got to get my jokes off here on the Outsider's Edge.
Oh man, that was good.
This once again though. This is another match. I feel like you talked about we could start disagreeing. And I don't know if we're going to disagree or not. I'm not 100% sure because I almost feel like Shinsuke is going to win the title.
Almost, or you do?
Ah, man. I do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make the prediction. I think Shinsuke's gonna win the title.
Jesus
Something
Christ.
tells me I got this feeling that currently, right now, they got to continue this feud. And this feud
Oh, absolutely.
does not. To me, this feud is pointless if AJ wins again because AJ won at Mania. He wins here. It's like, okay, you can low blow me all you want. You still can't beat me when the bell rings.
But can I disagree with you?
You can disagree, yeah.
And can I tell you why? Can I tell you why? Because AJ's character is one that has shown that he can be vindictive. AJ sometimes just doesn't want to beat you. Sometimes AJ just wants respect and to get retribution. And if you saw what Shinsuke did to his best friend Carl Anderson this Tuesday, AJ gonna be out for blood. And even if Shinsuke loses by disqualification or he gets pinned, if Shinsuke comes back behind and hits him with the Kinshasa one more time, or the Pinshasa, or something like that, I'm telling you, AJ is gonna be. It's gonna remind me of the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens feud in NXT, where Sami, the champion, was like, I don't care what I got to do to get him. I want him. But and for the record, I also want to. You joked about it, but people really wonder why he keeps doing low blows. Guys, clearly it's because Shinsuke was a super face. He got to do something to get you to boo him.
That's true, yeah.
What's the most dastardly thing one man can do to another man in a wrestling ring?
Hit him right in where the sun don't shine.
And we're not talking about the shoes. Damn, I had. So, if you guys haven't caught it by now, clearly Carl and I are cut from the same cloth because we think exactly the same. Because I said Shinsuke was going to win this match the second I knew that it would be booked. I feel like this is Shinsuke's moment.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of weird because we've got this next match that we're going to talk about. And if you remember at WrestleMania, there was a lot of retaining going on for the two top titles. And now we're in the discussions of, are those two titles going to change hands, 3 weeks later?
Yeah.
At another pay-per-view. And so it's just kind of interesting how this is all kind of rolling, because they can't just have this pay-per-view or this event, as I like to call it, network event. They can't just have this and just have everyone retaining titles. It's just...
They can.
They can, but it just seems so artificial. Like, if you're making such a big hurrah about this, we're going to need something kind of crazy to happen. You would hope.
You would hope.
If they're going to make me get up at 11 a.m., I'm already awake. If they're going to make
you're not going to watch it. Not live.
No. Well, I mean, I'll miss the first hour and 15. I might miss the pre-show. So, but I mean, if you're going to make people in the States get up and watch this, then yeah, it's all about us here in America. If you're going to make us get up and watch this, we're going to need to see some shit, because I don't want to sit here for 6 hours watching a show where everything happens the way we think it is. So that's kind of why these last three matches are so interesting. But yeah, we're kind of on the same page.
Can I also say this?
No.
Well, okay. So next match, no.
Go ahead.
I also want to point out to my friends on the other side of the pond, all my British friends, and Irish friends for those who aren't from Britain. I feel like this also is for all the reasons we've talked about before, yes, but I feel like it's also is a conduit or a test to see, can a Big Four pay-per-view be held in a different country and get numbers at the time slot? Because very, very clearly and honestly, very understandably, the UK wants and deserves a pay-per-view, especially a Big Four, a SummerSlam, a Survivor Series, a Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, hopefully, which I think I said that they would have one. They'd have WrestleMania 40. I think was what I predicted, and I stand by that. 5 years from now, or 6 years from now. But anyway, I just want to put that in you guys' minds, because if this goes off as they plan, then there's no real reason why they can't do a pay-per-view in a different country. And
I also think you make a good point, because consider the time slot for us over here in America, right? Mm-hmm. 11. 11 Eastern here, 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, right?
Yes.
We are 6-7 hours behind, like England,
We're
London.
we're 5 hours behind London, 6 hours behind where Ricky and Clive stay in Scotland. But
Right. So
yes,
think about that. But that's about the time of WrestleMania starts here. Is going to
yep,
be the exact time that this starts. This Greatest Royal Rumble starts, and that it leads into it backs off your point there that if people over here they get in the United States they get big numbers,
hmm
good numbers for this show.
hmm
It shows that WWE can take WrestleMania or another Big Four overseas, and our asses are still going to watch it at 11 o'clock in the morning, and they're going
absolutely,
to get it at the exact time instead of having to wait till 3 o'clock in the morning to watch a live
yes.
pay-per-view.
And the beauty of the network is, let's say you run it at 10, run it from 10 to 4. You could start, you could just replay it at the normal time it would normally come on any other year. So
Right.
if you missed it, you could just run the replay, and while there'll be spoilers, it's not going to be like Impact spoilers where they do a month and a half, and no, it's going to be
Sure.
just a few hours. Just want to throw that out there. I think I did that because I really, really don't want to talk about Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. And the look, I don't hate this feud like y'all do. I don't.
I don't
But
hate the feud. I hate Brock Lesnar.
sure, I don't hate Brock like you do.
Oh, fuck
But
him.
the reason I'm down on this match is because it's a steel cage match, and steel cage screams house show to me. It should have been a Hell in a Cell match, but I feel like they wouldn't do that because of the word hell.
I think they're not doing it because we need an out for Roman to escape a cage without having to pin Brock Lesnar.
Which is again another conduit for problems with why people don't like Roman.
Yeah.
Like, let him beat the guy.
Like he can't get it done.
Like he can't get it. Like you're booking him that he can't get it done. Braun Strowman beats 5 guys in the Elimination Chamber, and then Roman beats the one guy who beat the rest of the guys. He doesn't look tough. He looks like he's weak. Which is, and again, I know he's not. I'm one of the bigger Roman supporters on the internet. You are too, to a certain extent. So stop making him look like he's weak. Let him be Brock, or don't let him be Brock. Which I will say this before you even start. Brock's retaining.
I agree.
God damn it! God, I say he was retaining because I knew you would say he was going to lose. So
No,
God,
I
Jesus
agree.
Christ.
We've disagreed on one match so far.
One match, and we
And-
both, and you said you actually agree with me when you think about it. You just
Yeah.
talked before I did.
So yeah, I do. I agree. Like I just don't. First of all, if Roman wins the title, he's going to walk into Backlash defending against Joe. They're trying to keep Joe and Roman away from each other.
But that'd be a
Like,
fire ass match though.
Oh yeah, of course. I don't know. Like once again, I told you I have no interest in Brock Lesnar as Universal Champion at this time. But because I don't feel like they've chosen Roman as the guy to dethrone him, the only thing I can think in my head is, well, they took the tag titles off of Braun Strowman for that one moment.
Yeah,
Braun's still on Raw. I feel like the audible is go back to Braun. And that's,
Should
once
be.
again, like this is just me thinking. I think Braun's going to be the one to take it off Brock. I don't know when. Probably SummerSlam. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm so tired of talking about this fucking feud and Brock Lesnar. But with that being said, yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't think Roman's going to win this match. I just don't. We're in the age of emo Roman, as I've said before. Next on Monday he's going to show up with black fingernails and
shut up. Roman's gonna go goth.
yeah. So his new entrance music is going to be the Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day.
I'm on this lonely road. Oh man, I'll be here for it though.
Me too. I'm ready.
Roman and Aleister Black are gonna team together.
Yeah, it still won't work.
It still won't work.
They're
They're gonna boo They're gonna boo Roman. They're gonna boo Aleister, and Aleister's like the most over guy.
I know.
Um,
I'm telling you.
I-
Yeah, that's all I got on this match, man. I'm just Brock wins. Woohoo.
Would it make you feel better if instead of Roman being the guy to escape, Brock escapes from Roman after Roman's beating his ass the whole match?
No, not really. It's gonna piss me off even
Well,
more.
no. I mean, I know at the end of the day, you don't want him to retain anyway. But would it make Roman look better if the stipulation we all expect to help Roman actually helps Brock. Because the prevailing theory between their feud the entire time, going back to 31, was Brock don't respect Roman. Every time they fight, Brock beats the fuck out of Roman. All of this, right? What if Roman fires up and gets that Samoan fire and is beating the holy hell, no pun intended, Saudi Arabia, out of Brock, and Brock trying to sneak out and sneaks out, even with bloody and all this, and sneaks out of the ring while Roman's beating his ass. I think that would make him look better.
That would be better than Brock just whooping his ass in the cage. I'll give you that.
What I would like to see is, I hate to go to it, but a TNA moment when Rhino at lockdown, six sides of steel, Rhino speared Christian Cage through the side of the cage, and he rolled out and won the match.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'd like to see Roman spear him through the cage break, and Brock rolls out and wins the match because he escaped the cage first.
Well, you could also do it Booker T, Vince Russo style.
Oh, when he opens the box and it falls out.
Yeah. So there's lots of ways to do that, but yeah, I still, once again, Brock wins. LOL.
Will you care about the match?
Will I care about it?
In any way, form, or shape, or capacity?
Not really. No.
Okay.
I'll watch it.
Talk.
I'll watch it. If that counts as caring? Okay. I mean, I like WWE, so I'll watch the match, but I have no expectation.
And while Braun should be the guy to get it, I just feel like they're gonna go full on with Lashley. Lashley and Braun have been teaming a lot and been pretty chummy. Yeah, I feel like something's gonna happen there. Yeah. And I'm not against a Lashley Braun feud. I'm not against that. With Lashley playing the heel.
Lashley's interesting. It's kind of
more interesting than he's ever been. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because when he came back when we talked about this before, I was like, about it. But I feel like they immediately put him in an interesting position to make him interesting. That they did it the right way. Like they didn't just say, okay, here's Bobby Lashley, go cheer for him. It was like, okay, we're gonna tag him up with basically the most over guy on the roster right now, and kind of see how that works. And it's kind of got that. And I'm not trying to. I know you hate Natty, but it's kind of got that potential Ronda Natty thing where it's. I
hate Natty, but that feud that's a perfect pairing. Yes.
Right, but like they get along, right? They're getting along. So yeah, it's not the same exact thing, but to some degree there's some comparison there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could be cool. So there's a lot of ways, and that would be a good way to build Lashley up as a contender if you were able to get over on Braun, because but very few people have been able to.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's that. That Universal title scene, man. That I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't think they know. So we have come to the marquee event, the marquee match of the marquee event, the marquee moment of all the marqueeness and stuff. The 50-man Royal Rumble match.
Marqueeception.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm going to name the people announced for the match so far. It's only like 26 people.
I hope you announce like 50 people. I'll be like, damn, they announced everybody? Okay, go ahead.
I can make up some people if you want me to. IRS, the Gobbledygooker, Minotaur, Damian Demento. I can keep going if you want. The Goon. But no, so SmackDown Commissioner Shane McMahon, Raw General Manager Kurt Angle, Daniel Bryan, Braun Strowman, WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, the immortal Great Khali, Elias, Kevin Owens, I believe Sami Zayn was announced too, but Syria, Saudi Arabia, maybe not. Bobby Roode, Randy Orton, Baron Corbin, Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, Shelton Benjamin, Chad Gable, Sin Cara, Goldust, Mojo Rawley, who is legitimately Middle Eastern, and Dolph Ziggler. That is all announced so far. With Dolph being announced, I'm sure Drew will be in it too. But
yeah,
So, first and foremost, how do you feel about them not having uh, a real reason to win this thing other than a nice trophy? How do you feel about that?
Uh, I think I'm fine with the trophy part of it.
Yeah, the trophy's beautiful.
Yeah, but I do think they should have. I do think they should attach a little something to it. Not even a little something. Think about it like this, okay? Now I get it. You just had a 30-man Royal Rumble a couple months ago that gave you a world title shot. But now you're saying, all right, so you outlasted 49 men this time instead of 29.
His
Now
trophy.
yeah, here's your trophy. Like, no title shot. Like, to me, that's asinine. Like,
So,
unless they're gonna use it as like a vehicle to be like, okay, so I beat 49 other guys. I won this and all I got was this stupid trophy. Like, really?
so let me ask you this: Would you rather the winner get? And this is if you're the book, if you got the book, would you rather the winner get a world title match at SummerSlam, say maybe,
Okay.
or would you rather the winner get the number 30 position in the Royal Rumble next year?
I would rather the winner get a title shot.
See, I'd rather the winner gets the number 30 position because you're using this Royal Rumble to build the actual Royal Rumble.
Yeah, no, that's a good. Yeah, I like that idea, but I'm trying to think of it like from the wrestler standpoint. If you are a wrestler, why now if the company that's their idea and that's the way they want to do it, yeah. But
Yeah.
like if you're a wrestler, if you had your choice between
winning
a 50-man and taking a title shot, or winning a 50-man and getting number 30 next year, it's like, well, I just won a fucking Royal Rumble. So actually, before we go on with this, any idea? How are they doing this exactly? Like, I know they're not sticking everybody in the ring at the same time.
No, it's a real Royal Rumble. They're coming in like the Royal Rumble. I'm sure it's not going to be 90-second intervals. It might be a little less than that, but yeah, real Royal Rumble.
Okay. I'm really looking forward to that because I love Royal Rumbles.
I do too, man. But Jesus Christ, I'm gonna take a nap in the middle and it'll still be like an hour left.
Well, I think there's going to be some cool surprises probably, so I'm looking forward to that too. You know.
Kenny Omega's gonna be in the Greatest Royal Rumble. You heard it here first.
Sure.
Kazuchika Okada is defending the New Japan World Championship.
I'm hoping Flip Gordon shows up because he can't get booked for All In. So
yeah, so might as well get booked for Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
Would it not be cool though if they, of course they're gonna have some NXT guys and more WWE guys that's not booked, but would it not be cool if they booked like some top end indie guys who weren't signed? Like, what if Keith Lee showed up in this thing? Like, that would be really cool.
What was the other one? Walter?
Yeah, but Walter isn't quite signed yet. Walter just beat Keith Lee for the PWG World Title.
That's true. Yeah,
so I don't see Walter coming right now. Maybe a few months down the road.
Right.
But maybe. I'd like to see the whole ring camp group come as a group. Him, Tim Thatcher.
Didn't they sign a Middle Eastern wrestler recently to the Performance Center? No, they signed a female.
Yeah, but she wasn't from Saudi Arabia. She was from Jordan.
Okay. All right. So I just want to make sure my geography isn't always perfect there.
Sure, but I mean, you're not far off. Yeah. But to add to your point, they did a tryout. They did 3 or 4 days worth of tryouts, and them boys went through like hell. And I think 8 people made it and got signed. And one of those people, maybe all of them, but definitely one of them will be in the Greatest Royal Rumble.
That's awesome. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So that'll be an opportunity for the hometown hero kind of thing. And hopefully whoever that person is, gets a good showing.
You should have saw the video of, Mojo Rawley's name is Dean Mutati. Mojo is, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think he's Saudi. I want to say he's definitely of Middle Eastern descent. I don't know what country his ancestors from or his people are from. But when Mojo's learning how to speak Arabic. So when he was greeting the guys, he was speaking a little Arabic. It was the cutest thing to me because we look at Mojo like this overgrown idiot. We forget Mojo has a PhD,
And he's smarter than all of us.
Yes.
That's what it boils down to, yeah.
So, yeah. So, I think the favorites are, as we know, are definitely Daniel Bryan, Braun Strowman, Chris Jericho, and I'm going to say just because of who he is and he always ends, and Rey Mysterio will be up there, And because he always ends up finding themselves in ways to be a lot more relevant than he probably is being booked to be, Kevin Owens. So those are my 5 favorites right now.
Okay.
Do you disagree with that?
Uh,
Based on what we know.
Not really. No. Well, I don't know if I would. Chris
Mojo will have a
Jericho,
good
'cause
showing
he's so good
because
in Rumbles, maybe.
who?
Jericho, because he's so good in the Rumble. Usually, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I mean
I can tell you this. Whoever wins this thing is not going to be some random dude. It's going to be one of the top stars in the company.
right. Well, I could also see Bobby Lashley making an impact in this if
He
he's
hasn't
there.
been announced for it, but I'm sure he'll be in it. Yes.
Right. Even Elias
No,
potentially could make an impact.
don't see it.
So yeah, I think you're pretty spot on with your favorites though.
So you got to make a prediction then. Who you got?
I do have to make a prediction. I'm gonna predict Braun. I know it's
So
an easy choice, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with that because it's the greatest Royal Rumble, right? It's 50 guys.
yeah.
I'll take Braun.
So I was going to take Braun, and then I sat down and I thought about it.
Okay.
You know how WWE can get some goodwill with fans? What if they book Daniel Bryan to win this, and he ain't got to win the real one now because he won the greatest of all time?
Yeah,
There's no title shot, no ramifications, but he won it and he got the trophy. WWE be trolling.
I feel like Big Cass is going to eliminate him. I kind of see, or Miz.
Miz is I didn't think that the guys who wrestled earlier might be back in the match. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, I would imagine they're going to have to be.
Most of them, sure.
So
maybe
that's the perfect way to because Daniel Bryan wants to punch Miz in the face, right? That's the perfect way to they get a confrontation, or not even a confrontation, but Miz sneaks up on him and gets rid of Daniel Bryan. More heel heat, and Miz is one of the guys that could get away with that because of how he is with the crowd. So there's but yeah, I mean, I could see Daniel Bryan win it, but I don't think he will. I don't think they're going to let us have it, man. I don't.
But I think they'll let him have this one because essentially it means absolutely nothing.
Right.
So this will be the one to give him, right?
Just gets more people off. That way.
Well, so as we're about to talk about, they've done that enough with this card.
Yes, they have.
So we might as well just move on in because it's sun's starting to set, so it's time for some fire to be spit. We're both gonna jump on this, but I would like for Carlton to get it started if he doesn't mind.
Yeah, that's fine. So this whole thing is kind of interesting because we've one thing if you've noticed unless you're living under a rock, you probably know by now that this card features exactly 0 women, and a lot of that is culturally based. That's the reason for this. Women's rights in Saudi Arabia are trash, for lack of a better word. I believe just recently they allowed women to start driving, so
yes.
that's baby steps. And if you live here in America, sometimes you don't really. A lot of times we kind of take for granted what we do have here. And one thing we can say for sure is that it's not perfect for women over here, but it's a lot damn better than it is over there. And unfortunately, it lends itself to some arguments. From a business perspective, should WWE take the money and go over there and do this, knowing that they're in the middle of what people deem as a women's revolution? And what's the stigma here? What's the lasting stigma? If you go over there and take the money and run, or even really on a long-term deal here, this is a long-term thing. What does that say about your thoughts on your own women in the company that can't even be a part of this? And then there's the other side with Triple H, who spoke recently about, and you had alluded to last week, I believe it was.
I said it first. No, I don't get my credit, but I said it first.
Yeah, I just gave you credit. So you said it last week.
Oh, you did, huh? Just now. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a way for them. Is there a way here for them to affect change in a country that is slowly but surely moving in what we hope is the right direction. And as we all know, as we've said before, as you said last week, change takes time. These aren't things that happen overnight. But we've seen perspectives, and you might have more about that, but we've seen perspectives from people from that side of the pond and their thoughts on this whole thing. So there's people who have more educated
Perspective.
perspective than a lot of us do. And it's not, I don't think it's fair to start throwing stuff at the wall, hoping it'll stick, and trying to sound like we're, for lack of a better term, woke to everything like we think we are, when in reality, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things we don't know about their culture. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but there's a lot of us who might not even be able to point Saudi Arabia on the map. So,
or definitely don't know the capital.
Right. So let's just kind of pump the brakes. I'm not telling you how to think or feel. I understand if you feel frustrated about, the lack of women being on this card. I do get that. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're talking to a guy who's married with 2 daughters. So women's rights matter to me. But there is, I don't want to get too much into the ethics part of this, because there is a case to be made if you've ever opened up the textbook for business ethics, that do businesses even really have a responsibility to worry about social rights and things like that? That is an actual framework in a textbook you can find on a college campus. So there's a lot of theories and a lot of things out there. So we need to kind of consider some of those things before we just start saying what we have to say without maybe necessarily having all the facts. But anyways, I'll hand it over to you because I know you've got something you want to say.
Yeah, I want to cite some very poignant and illuminating columns and articles, if not. But I had this conversation with Ricky and Clive earlier before they recorded their episode that just dropped today. And for the record, Ricky is of Pakistani heritage and is Muslim. So Ricky has I think a better perspective of this than most of us talking. Now, Ricky was born in Scotland. He wasn't born in Pakistan. But the one thing he preached he had like a 25-minute, I don't even call it a rant because it was all truth and wonderful to hear, but 25-minute diatribe, if you will, on it. And the one thing that I think we all need to take away from this is what Saudi Arabia is doing as a country, Sharia law, if you will, is not is not Islam. It's not Islamic. It's not a Muslim thing. It's a cultural thing.
Right.
That is the country of Saudi Arabia, which is why so many of the Emirates started the United Arab Emirates. You can in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, you could wear a bikini and you could go swimming and you could, as a woman, you could do things. But first thing I want to cite is I'm assuming a young man from Saudi Arabia wrote a very, very impassioned and illuminating, use the word again, post on Reddit earlier.
But go ahead,
and if you don't mind, I'd like to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to try to be as fast as I can because it's not super long, but it's not short. Hello, everyone. First of all, I want you to know that I'm not writing this post to be hostile at all. I just want to clarify some things for everyone and clear the air a little bit since it's been very negative lately in this sub, or, the forum, if you will. First of all, I know some of you think that the Greatest Royal Rumble is propaganda, and it's only being held in my country, Saudi Arabia, because the Saudi royal family wants to sell a view of modernization of Saudi Arabia, and I understand where you're coming from. However, the country is changing. The culture is changing a lot in the last 2 years, and it's all because of our young prince that wants to give the will to the younger generation to shape our society the way they want, which I believe we've needed since forever. Believe it or not, 2 years ago, we had no form of public entertainment at all. We had no concerts, no movie theaters, no Comic-Con, no entertainment events of any kind, and no wrestling shows that are advertised publicly because of our country's reputation. But now, we have all of those. And many of those events don't even segregate between men and women. I personally didn't even think for a second this day would come while I was still alive. Saudi Arabia consists of more than 30 million people. 70% of those people are under the age of 30. And you know what? I guarantee you most of those young Saudis are more or less open-minded and want to be normal compared to the old generation that planted this conservative cancer into our society. But believe me, we are taking the wheel and the country is changing. Regarding women's rights, you might not know, but Saudi Arabia is pushing for women's rights these last 2 years and has been supporting the role of women publicly. Women will drive for the first time this June. And a while ago, the king issued a decree where he established a law against sexual harassment for the first time in Saudi history. For the LGBT community, however, they're not very lucky. I personally support them, and many people in Saudi, especially the young ones, support them as well. We can't talk about it in the public out of fear because, there is no freedom of speech and there is no freedom of speech in Saudi Arabia, and we can be jailed for words spoken. What I am trying to say is, think about this Greatest Royal Rumble event as a step towards the right direction for my country. We've been waiting for so long to be normal, to be like you guys and to enjoy life like you do. We always wanted entertainment and we finally got it and we feel so lucky it's like a dream coming true. And I assure you, women will wrestle in Saudi Arabia one day. But we have to be patient. Saudi Arabia is changing, but it takes time. And even if WWE decided not to hold this show in Saudi Arabia, it wouldn't help. At least holding it with all the flaws present gives us hope and takes us in the right direction. Sorry for the long post. I just had to take all of this off of my chest and to let you guys know that even if our laws and government is flawed in your eyes, we, the people, are much, much more open-minded and moderate. Most of us are. Peace.
Yeah, I read that earlier today, and I really kind of opened my eyes a little bit because a lot of times, from where we are, we don't. It's hard to understand what another country, another culture deals with. So we need those perspectives.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's probably someone in Saudi Arabia that could give us the opposite perspective.
Sure.
Just like there's someone right here that isn't us that could give us the opposite perspective. But I do encourage people, before you jump on these topics, to kind of try and find some challenge your own opinions. Samoa Joe put a post about this the other day, about challenging your own opinions, having conversations with people who disagree with you. You don't have to come around and be different and decide, oh yeah, I agree with that person, but you can at least get a fresh perspective, whether it sounds ridiculous or whatever, but at least hear people out. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a really strong piece of advice, because you just sit around and just think of it from your own way and just listen to people who agree with you 24/7, you're never going to get anywhere. And so
which is what we do as politically, what we all do here.
Right. So I just feel like that's a really good, it's a good post, and it makes a lot of sense. And I hope people that listen to this show and that have already read it actually take it to heart when you're trying to consider what's happening here on Friday. I think it's very important. So,
I want to say I applaud that young man. I'm assuming it's a man, for that post. Because while it's honest, honesty isn't always popular, especially in a internet setting where everybody has a hot take but doesn't have to stand behind what they say.
Right.
Which is a big problem I have with a lot of things. Fans in general, a lot of people say things, but when it's time to live up to it, they're not there. They just say things to say things. They say incendiary things or make jokes of every single thing, but they have no true background of what they're talking about. They have no true history of knowledge about what they're talking about. They're just saying it, rushing to judgment. But I also want to point out the implications from Lords of Pain put out a very, very researched column earlier today speaking about the situation. And I advise all of you to check that out, because when I say that that's the best written column I've read on the entire situation, I've read a lot. It's absolutely the best. So yes, we will be on the record of saying that women deserve every single right that men do in any country. Correct. We even need to go even further and say that everybody deserves every single right, whether you're straight, gay, Christian, Muslim, atheist, transgender, whatever you are.
Correct.
All humans, we all deserve the same inherent rights, right? But
Yeah.
far be it for us as people, as a country, to go into another country and demand them live to what we do.
Right. We can't dictate what other places do.
You cannot. And that's a problem we have as a country. A lot of the times, I hate to get political. I'm not going to any further than this, but we tend to think that we run the world, so what we do is king. But I guarantee you,
it's just kind of the general mindset that, because we do it differently here, other places should do it the same way, and if they're
absolutely.
not going to, then we should stay away from them. Which really, it's a little isolationist.
Very isolationist.
Where it's like, okay, well, you guys do you, and so we're just going to back off. And as a good friend of ours had pointed out the other day, Robert Daniels, shout out.
Yes.
If you're going to start boycotting...
A former veteran, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, who spent some time in the Middle East. If you're going to start boycotting WWE, boy, go take a look. You're going to be boycotting a lot of other things.
McDonald's, KFC,
companies. Yeah. And the other thing is, a lot of companies that you might not even think about are owned by a larger conglomerate type of company. And the list just goes on and on and on and on.
Yes.
All the places that you shop at or eat at or whatever on a daily basis. So, just something to think about, something to chew on, I guess.
Right. Like, if you and I were to fly to Japan right now and to go to somebody's house, we're not walking in there with shoes. Because that's not what they do.
Right.
Right?
There are cultural differences. And when you do business in a different country, if you don't follow those things, you're considered rude or wrong or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
Like when they come to our country, we expect them to act a certain way as well. It's no different.
Right. How many countries are there where when people shake hands, it's considered disrespectful?
Right.
But when they come to America, you shaking hands, looking in the eyes. One more thing I want to point on before we go any further, and I don't want to continue to kind of pound on him because I love him, he's our little brother. But Caleb posted a tweet that really kind of set me off, where he said something to the order of, it was extremely definitive when he said it, that the WWE is not, cannot, or will not lead to change in the country of Saudi Arabia. And I thought that was one of the most ignorant statements I've ever read. Because, and I say that, I'm a black man in America. There was a time, not too long ago, that I couldn't talk to you right now, right?
Yeah.
What was one of the major catalysts in changing people's thought processes about race? Athletes.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
How many people watched black athletes, Jackie Robinson being one, Bill Russell being one of the original ones, but so many black athletes, while they still got hell their entire careers. Yes. I'm not taking that away. Jesse Owens, they still caught hell for all their careers, but so many people watched them. They were catalysts because so many people watched them, and eventually their greatness transcended to where for that 3 hours they watched that game, I'm a root for that kid. I hate him because he's black, but that boy sure can't play some ball. You have to start changing the minds, right? You can't just rip the Band-Aid off automatically and say it's healed. You're gonna start bleeding again.
And
you have to start changing the minds.
Let's just say, for instance, that even if they couldn't do a damn thing, and they cannot and will not, whatever, far be it from any of us to tell them that they shouldn't give it a crack at it.
Right.
I mean,
they're wrong for trying.
Right. And a lot of people will say, well, they're not actually trying, they're just in it for a buck, and that's fine. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. I'm not going to sit here and sit down and try and have an argument with you because obviously you're not going to change your mind. In this scenario, I choose to look for the better side of it. I'm just going to do that this time.
When they've come out and said it.
In the current climate we're in right now where everyone's negative and pissed off all the time, I'm going to take a different approach for once. So that's just where I'm at here. Same
here. We need to stop treating WWE like they're the devil. Like everything they do is always for, Gail Kim came out about a week or so ago and said that the women's revolution could have happened a lot sooner. Well, no fucking duh. Yes, it could have, but it's here now. Be happy.
Yeah.
Like, this revisionist history, like, this society isn't happy things are happening anymore. Like I said in the last pod we had, we don't want, if we can't have change right now, we don't want it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like nothing
Real
happens
change.
overnight, and like the same thing with like civil rights, right? Those things could have happened a long ass time ago before they did. All those things could have happened before if we
400
weren't
years of oppression,
the
bro.
way we
Yes.
were. I mean, it's just things move the way they move, you know? And it's
There's
okay to be upset while it's happening, you know, and want it to change quickly, but it's not fair to just be like, when it does happen, it's not fair to be like, oh, well, why didn't it happen sooner?
there's
Shit.
this
Like,
major
come
thing
on.
that happened called the Middle Passage that is pretty much the reason I'm here in America right now. Yeah. This could have been happened a little sooner. Yes.
Right.
So,
So
you know,
here we
but
are, right?
yeah. We could talk about this much longer, but I don't want to turn this, like Ricky and Clive said, they didn't want to turn it into the Ricky and Clive socio-economical show. We don't want to talk
Understood.
this into the Outsider's Edge politics show.
Hey,
But
man, that's what makes us different.
yeah, right. But think about it. Be consistent. Think about it. And I don't want to change your minds. I want to open your minds.
Oh, boy.
That was deep.
Yeah, give him the red pill, brother.
Okay, Neo. With that being said, you got anything else, or you want to get out of here?
I think it's time to go. I think we covered all bases here.
Okay. Well.
We killed it as usual.
Oh yeah, excellent episode. Yeah, I'm gonna rate this 6 stars, Tokyo Dome style. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're in America still, so I don't know if we can go that far.
Does Jeddah count as like 5.5 since it's closer to the Tokyo Dome than America?
I don't know, man.
Oh, okay.
How about 4.75, and we'll just call it a night.
Wait a minute. They use the metric system, right?
I can't do all that math. Come on. This is America, man. Nobody said I had to learn any other kind of math, just the ones we know over here.
All right, man. Go ahead, plug your stuff, man.
Just hit me up on Twitter at OutsiderKervin, Kervin. I'll troll you. I'll mess with you, but I'm always down for a good discussion. So that's it. That's where you're gonna find me. Thanks for listening, as always.
You can find your boy at It's Ray Cash, REY as in Mysterio, CASH as in dollars. I also do a morning show every morning with Jordan Fox at Fox the Podcast. You can find us at the World Class Pod. World Class Podcast sponsored by the Imperial Wrestling Revolution. Your boy got a sponsor, a real sponsor. Yeah.
I want one.
We gonna get it. Maybe we need to call some of these Saudi Arabia companies and get sponsored by them.
I'm down.
Excuse me.
I'm definitely for the almighty dollar, man. I got bills to pay. I'm not a billionaire. Let's go.
Hell yeah. Also, don't forget to follow the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Hit us up at socialsuplex.com. Follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean, which is what we host our podcasts on. One Nation Radio's at One Nation Radio. The Wrestling Watch with Caleb is at Wrestling Watch SS. Ricky and Clive at Ricky and Clive, keeping it strong style, KI strong style. Follow the click. We have great content for you, very diverse content. You got some of everything. We're the best, but everybody else is good too. And yeah, with that being said, man, we appreciate it, y'all. Take it easy.